Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day. We proceed to chapter 7, Foundations of Group Behavior. These are the things that we are going to cover for this chapter. First is to define group. Second is to understand the classifications of group. Next, we go to group properties, describe group properties. So there are 5 group properties to be covered: roles, norms, status, size, and cohesiveness. And finally, we will look at the group decision-making techniques, which include brainstorming, nominal group technique, and also Delphi technique. First, let's see what is meant by group. The definition of group is two or more individuals interacting and interdependent who have come together to achieve common objectives. So you can find this definition in your book as well. When there are two or more people working together and they are having relationship and they are interacting and communicating with one another, and they are also interdependent. Interdependent here means they are relying and depending on one another in order to perform their job, and they have common objectives, which means that they have the same goals to achieve. Okay, their goal is to complete the task. Their goal is to pass the subject. So they are called as a group. Now let's see what are the classifications of group. Group is classified into two, or groups have two types. One is called as formal group, another one is the informal group. So formal group is defined by the organization structure. So formal group is a group that is determined by the organization, and we can see that from the organization structure. So kita nampak the formal group from the structure of the organization. The purpose of the formal group is to achieve specified aims and objectives. So formal group has some goals to be achieved, and their goals are the common goals or the same goals to achieve. So the example given for formal group is the marketing department's employees and also the manager. They are a part of the formal group, which we can see this group on the organization chart. So formal group is actually a group that is determined by the organization, and they consist of a manager and a few employees, and they have their own specific goals to be achieved. For example, marketing department is one formal group. Finance department is another formal group. Human resource department is another formal group, which consists of their own manager and their own employees. And this group, they have their own specific goals to achieve. So marketing department, for example, their goals is to make more sales, to increase promotion so that more customers come and buy the products. So marketing department, which consists of the manager and also the employees, they have the same goals, that is to do their job. So we can see clearly the marketing department, the human resource department, and also the finance department, for example, on the organization chart, which they are determined by the organization. So that is the formal group. On the other hand, the informal group is a group that is not formally structured and also not organizationally determined. It appears in response to the need for social contact. So informal group is a group that is not structured by the organization, meaning that it is not determined by the organization, and it is not structured and also not determined by the organization. So informal group is only created to fulfill the social contact, or to in response to the need for social contact. So informal group is created just to socialize, to gossip, okay, to chit chat. Okay, that is called as informal group. So these informal groups, they are actually formed that they are formed from various departments in the organization, and normally they are the people who just be in a group to socialize and to have a very relaxed conversation and communication, and they are not normally created for the purpose of job. So this informal group is created just to gossip and so on. So their purpose is to do a certain activity that is mostly social in nature. So the purpose of informal group is to socialize, for socializing only. So what is socializing? Chit-chatting, gossiping, going out for lunch and break and so on. So employees form a group to socialize during break time. So this is an example of an informal group. So employees from this one particular company, these employees come from various departments, let's say from marketing department, human resource department, IT department, finance department. So these few people, let's say one person from IT department, 2 people from finance department, another one from sales department or marketing department, and so on. So they form a group of people that consists of 5 of them. So during lunchtime, they go out together. So they are called as an informal group. So they go out for lunch together, they sit together and chit chat and gossip and so on. So they don't talk about work normally. They just form the group just to socialize. Okay, we are still in the classification of group. I have explained just now there are 2 types of group, which are the formal and informal group. So for each type of this type of group or classification of group, there is further divisions. Okay, ada lagi pecahan, okay, yang lebih detail. Okay, formal group is divided into 2 more types. One is called as command group, another one is called as task group. And for the informal group, it is further divided into 2 more types, which are the interest group and also the friendship group. So let's see what it means by this further classifications of formal and informal. So let's see the formal group first. Okay, formal group is divided into 2 more types, which are command group and also task group. Command group and task group. So command group is a collection of people who work under the direct supervision of one manager. A collection of people who work under the direct supervision of manager. For example, sales manager and sales personnel. Personnel here means staff lah, employees. Okay, marketing manager and also the sales ataupun sales staff, they are in sales department. Pilot, the captain and airline flight crew in the aircraft. So they are called as the command group. Command group is a formal group which we can see on the organization chart, and they are created where there is one manager supervising a few employees under that particular manager. Okay, for example, a clear example or an easy example that I can give is the departments inside the organization lah. Okay, sales department consists of sales manager and also sales staff or sales employees. So they are called as one command group, which falls under a formal group. Okay. And on the other hand, no, not on the other hand, the next type of formal group is called as task group. Okay, by the word task. It is a team of people cooperating to finish a project or task. Another name for task group is a task force. Okay, for example, an ad hoc committee members of the team building. A task group is a type of formal group created just to complete one particular project or one particular task, or to complete a project or a task. So task group ni adalah satu group yang diwujudkan hanya untuk mencapai ataupun menyiapkan, melaksanakan sesuatu projek ataupun sesuatu tugas khas. Okay, so tugas khas itu adalah nama yang selalu kita pakai, which we call as the task force. So task force is actually a group which we call as a task group. So they are created just to complete one particular task. When the task is completed, then we cannot see the task group anymore. It is disbanded. Disbanded maksudnya dibubarkan. So the task group is created on temporary basis. Okay, dalam tempoh yang sementara sahaja. Once the project or the task is completed, then task group is disbanded. But for the command group, such as the marketing department, sales department, which consists of the manager and also the employees, this is called as a permanent group because of they are created to complete a task specified to a particular department. Okay, so employees yang berada dalam marketing department tu, dia akan buat kerja marketing forever until that particular employee resigns or quits from the job. So they are created on permanent basis, that is command group. But task group, it is on temporary basis. Okay, so ad hoc committee members of the team building. So team building is actually the task to be completed. So once the team building is over, then there is no more these committee members. Tak ada dah. Okay, same goes to, let's say I assign you to form a group to organize an annual dinner. Okay, for this semester, for this year, this semester lah. So, okay, once the annual dinner has been organized, dah habis, completed, then there is no more committee members or group for that particular annual dinner, no more. So that is called as a task group. Okay, now we go to the next type of group, that is informal group. Let's see the further classification of informal group. The first one is the interest group. Okay, the interest group, by the word interest, this interest group is created because of the people in that group have similar interest, mempunyai minat yang sama. Okay, that is called as interest group. People who have the same interest, they form a group. So they are called as interest group. So the group will be dissolved after the objectives have been met. Okay, dissolve here means disbanded, dibubarkan. Okay, so in other words, interest group is a temporary group. Group yang sementara. Okay. So for example, a group to travel to Japan. Okay, let's say you work in ABC company. Out of 50 employees, 10 of you love to travel. So these 10 of you form a group for the purpose of traveling to Japan at the end of August, let's say. So you want to travel to Japan in August, end of August. So 10 of you form a group. So you plan the date, the flight, and where to stay, accommodation and all, and the budget and so many other things that you plan. So 10 of you here is called as the interest group. So you form a group because of you have the same interest, that is to travel to Japan. So once your travel or your trip to Japan is over, dah habis after August, then the interest group is now dissolved or disbanded. Tak ada lagi dah interest group. Okay, so you form a group just to meet or to achieve one particular objective or one particular interest. Okay, the next type of informal group is a friendship group, by the word friendship. A group that is created on the basis of because of the members share one or more traits in common. Okay, group members have similar characteristics. So this group is created because of the group members have the same characteristics. So member dia mempunyai ciri-ciri yang lebih kurang sama, perangai yang sama, attitude yang sama. Okay, so example given here is a groups based on home states or nations because of similar in their culture, background and languages. So as you can see, when you go to IPTs, IPTA or IPTS, people who come from East Coast, not Malaysia East, not East Malaysia, East Coast, such as Kelantan, Terengganu, normally they stick together. So they are called as a friendship group because of they share the same characteristic, they come from the same state. So because of they understand each other very well, so that's why they create one particular group. Those who come from Kelantan, let's join or let's have a group, a WhatsApp group, let's say. So that group we call as friendship group because most of you share the same characteristics. So friendship group is a permanent group because of you are comfortable together because you share the same characteristic. So one is permanent, one is temporary. And now let's move on to the next learning objective, that is to understand the group properties. Okay, the properties of group, there are actually more than, I have listed here 5 group properties. This is for our syllabus. Actually, there are a lot more properties. So these are actually the characteristics of the group lah, but we call it as properties. We don't call it as characteristics. So we are going to cover these group properties: roles, norms, status, size, and cohesiveness. Okay, the first group property is roles. Okay, let's see the definition of role. Role is a set of expected behavior patterns attributed to someone occupying a given position in a social unit. Someone who is given a position in a social unit means that when they are when they are working together, when they are socializing, interacting and communicating. So when they are in social unit, that is the meaning. They are communicating, interacting, having relationship together. So that refers to social unit. Everybody will have their own position, his or her position. So with that position, each and everyone will have his or her own role. So the role is the expected behavior patterns because of that person is having a particular position in an organization. For example, a position as a manager. A manager, so that is a expected behavior that is required to be shown by a manager. So that is what we call as role. So in Malay, it is translated as peranan. So with a particular position, a person is expected to show one or certain kinds of behavior or specified behavior. As a manager, this is the behavior that should be shown by a manager. As a secretary, this is the behavior or behaviors that should be shown by a secretary. So that is what we call as role. So there are 4 things that you need to know about role. One is role perception. Role perception is defined as an individual's perception of how he or she should behave in a particular circumstance. So role perception is where we ourselves, holding that particular position, we make our own perception how we should behave with our position. So role perception, it is we ourselves making a perception on how we should behave holding that position. So you as a student, you perceive you should behave this way. So it is your own perception, you should behave this way. So that is your role perception. As for myself, as a lecturer, I perceive I should behave this way. So that is called as role perception. We ourselves make perception on how we should behave by holding that particular position. Role expectation is the opposite of role perception. So role expectation is how other people expect you to behave in a particular situation. So role expectation is where the other party who is dealing with us, they expect us to show certain kinds of behavior by holding our position. So for example, like me and you, I am a lecturer, you are a student. When you make a perception or when you make an expectation that a lecturer should behave this way, so that is called as role expectation. Apa yang you expect seorang lecturer patut behavior yang macam mana seorang lecturer patut tunjukkan. So that is called as expectation. It is the expectation of other people towards the other people by holding that particular position. So for role expectation, you need to understand this term, psychological contract, which you can see in the book. So what is meant by psychological contract? So you can read that in the book. Okay, the next thing that you need to learn or to understand about role is role conflicts. Okay. Role conflicts occur when a person is faced with conflicting expectation for their role. So role conflict is a situation where people have conflicts in performing their role because of the expectations are conflicting. Okay, let's say I expect that my role as a lecturer, I should behave this way. Okay, I should show behavior A. But to your expectation as a student, the lecturer should behave by showing behavior B. So my perception and your role expectation is conflicting with one another. I perceive or I expect that I should behave this way, but you expect me to behave the other way. So that we call it as a role conflict. Okay, one type of role conflict that is very common in our life or when we are working together as an organization is inter-role conflict. So inter-role conflict is when the demands of a person's many independent groups conflict with one another. So inter-role conflict happens when one person is having so many roles at one time. Satu orang mempunyai banyak peranan dalam satu masa. For example, I am a lecturer. At the same time, I am a president of Biz Club or business club. At the same time, I am also a treasurer of lecturers club. I am also a mother to my children. I am also a wife to my spouse. I am a child or a daughter to my parents. So I have so many roles at one time. And these roles are conflicting with one another. I have a class at 2. So as a lecturer, I have to attend class at 2. But at the same time at 2, I have a meeting as a secretary of this Biz Club. So at 2 as well, I have to be there as a secretary for this particular meeting, Biz Club. And today, my child is sick. So I have to be home. I cannot come to work. So my roles as a mother as a secretary and as a lecturer, they are conflicting with one another that require me to perform these roles at one time. So I am having a role conflict which we call as an inter-role conflict. So same goes to you. You are a student, that is one role. You are also a child to your parents, another role. You are a president of JPK, okay, Jabatan Kuasa College, and you are a committee member for Taekwondo Club in UiTM. So you have to come to class today because we have a test. And your parents call you to go home because of you have a kenduri to attend also today. And your Taekwondo Club is having an AGM, annual general meeting, to select a new member. So everything is to be done in one day at one time. So you will have a role conflict which we call as an inter-role conflict. So these are the 4 things that you need to understand for the first group property, that is roles. Next group property is norms. Norms are accepted code of conduct within a group that specify what members should and should not do in specific situations. So an easy way to understand norm is standard to be followed by all group members in that particular group. When you belong to a group, there are certain standards set by the group members. So everybody in the group must show this certain standard or this kind of standard. So that is what we call as norm. So everybody must show the same attitude, the same behavior, same attire maybe. So that is called as norms. For example, when you create your own group assignment, group for the group assignment. So during the presentation, all of you decided to wear black and white for the presentation. So that is, we call it as norms for your group because of you set standard on how to dress up. Okay, norms are actually standard set to all the group members. So there are a few things about norms that you need to understand that relates to organizational behavior. The first one, let's see the norms and emotions. Okay, the relationship between norms and emotion. So one team member's emotion can have an impact on the team's emotion as a whole. Norms control how both individuals and communities felt. Okay, so norms have also an impact on emotions because of when one member is showing a positive emotion, okay, one member is showing some kind of emotion, let's say for example a positive emotion, and it will give an impact to another team member's emotion as well. So other members will have a positive feeling as well. So norms here control how individual and communities felt. So emotion is like feeling lah. Okay, norms tu akan memberi impact kepada how members feel. Okay, so good norms or positive norms will give a good impact on the emotion of a group member, which in the end giving an impact to other group members' emotion as a whole. Okay, the next is norms and conformity. Conformity here means fit in. Okay, fit in ni maksudnya keserasian lah, conform, match. That is conformity. So conformity refers to changing one's behavior to fit in with the social norm. So conformity means that norms here have an impact on conformity. So group members will try to change their behavior in order for them to fit in the group. Okay, because of they want to follow the norms and standards set by the group members. Okay, so for example, the norm that has been set to your group is all members must be honest with one another. So honesty is we call as the norm set by the group to all the group members. That is a standard. So what happened is that the group members will try to change their behavior to fit in. To fit in here means they try to conform lah to the norm, meaning that they try to change their behavior to meet the standard set, that is to be honest with one another. So an individual will alter their attitudes and behavior to conform to the norms of the group and ensure that they are a member of it. Okay, so norms ni akan membuatkan group members ni ubah dia punya tingkah laku untuk nak fit in, untuk dia nak masuk ataupun menyesuaikan diri dalam group dia. The next one is norms and behavior. Workplace norms have a big impact on how employees behave. So definitely the norms ataupun the standards set by all the group members will have an impact on the behavior. Okay, in fact, what we have discussed before, norms and emotion, norms and conformity, they are related to behavior as well. So norms will actually alter the behavior of employees because of employees want to be in the group, so they will change their behavior in order for them to be in the group by following the norms. So there are two types of norms, positive norms and also negative norms. And each type of norms here have an impact on the group outcome over here. So what are the examples of positive group norms? So positive group norms, as you can see on page 100, you can highlight the examples of positive norms such as be honest about each other, practice being open with everyone, trust each other. So those are called as positive norms, and definitely they will have positive outcome to the group and the organization as a whole. So in the end, group can perform very well. The relationship among group members will be very good. So those are called as the group outcome, positive group outcome that comes from positive norms. On the other hand, the negative norms will lead to negative group outcome. So what will be the negative group outcome that comes from negative norms? So it is the opposite of this. Maybe there is no honesty among group members. Group members do not trust each other. So in the end, it will give a bad outcome or negative outcome, which we call as workplace deviance behavior. So workplace deviance behavior, what are the examples of workplace deviance behavior? Is like unproductive behavior. They are not showing good performance in the organization. They are not giving full commitment and effort in the organization in performing their job. So that is unproductive behavior, number one. Number two, fraud on property. So employees or group members tend to do something bad to the property of the organization. They steal the property of the organization and all. So that is one example of workplace deviance behavior. And the last one, the workplace deviance behavior example is aggressive behavior. Okay, aggressive behavior, it is like yelling, cursing, threatening other group members. So this is the impact or the outcome of negative norms set by the group. Okay, next group property is status. So status is defined as a position or rank given to group or group members by others. So status can be understood in terms of higher status or lower status that relates to a position or a rank of a person in a particular group or in a specific group. Okay, so status comes from the position or rank. Okay, when a person is holding a manager position, so that person we call as having a higher status. A clerk, a position of a person is a clerk in an organization, so we call that person as having a lower status. So position or rank of a person shows status of that person. So let's see a few things about status that you need to understand when it comes to group. Status and norms. What is the relationship between status and norm? Is there any impact or not? High status individuals frequently have an impact on social norms. They have a greater tendency to depart from, reject, or ignore the norm of the group. So people who have higher status in a group, let's say group leader, manager who is a member of one small group. So they have this tendency or this probability, they will try to depart from. Depart means they will leave the group, or they will try to ignore the norm set by the group. So if the group said that everybody must show high honesty in the group or to the other group members, so those members who are in higher status, let's say the manager yang menjadi group member tu, dia mungkin akan cuba ignore saja the norm set to the all group members because of he is holding higher status, that is higher position. Maksudnya orang yang higher status ni dia macam agak sombong dan agak angkuh, dia tak nak ikut standard set to all the group members. By right, the group members must be treated equally regardless of their status. So those who belong to one group, they must be treated equally regardless of their status. So by right, everybody must follow all the norm set. Tapi people with higher status ni, they are snobbish, so normally they will ignore the norms. So that is the relationship between status and norm. What happened, or is there any connection between status and group interaction? Second one about status. Those with high status tend to become more assertive. They have the ability to speak with others, present ideas with confidence, criticize with an open mind, and issue more orders. So, more assertive here means they are more talkative. They talk a lot because they are at higher position, they have higher status, they have high confidence level. So that is the relationship between status and group interaction. So what happened to people with lower status? Normally they show the opposite of this. Okay, they have lower confidence, they don't have the high ability to speak with other people, they are afraid to criticize with an open mind, and they don't issue more orders. Issue orders mean that give instruction. So they are not so assertive. So people with high status, they are more open, they talk a lot, they have good interaction. Okay, the next thing about status that you need to know is the group status. Whether that person was in the group, was in the in-group or out-group depends on the group status. High status versus low status individuals. There is a lot of bias and discrimination directed at those from high status groups and those with low status group. So group status, actually it has an impact on, it comes from the in-group and out-group people. Okay, depend on the group status. And lastly is group stigmatization. Our personal status will determine or affect how other people perceive us. Okay, our status will determine how other people perceive us. The status of the individuals you are associated with can influence how other people perceive you. So if we are at higher status, meaning that we are holding higher position, then other people might perceive us differently than when we are at lower status or higher position. The next group property is size and dynamics. So the explanation given for size and dynamic as one of the group properties here is small group members are better at completing tasks effectively and productively, while large group members are better at collecting different input, ideas, information, and skills. So this relates to dynamic, size of the group. Okay, so it says that small group is better in one way and large group is also better in another way. So there is no specific saying or statement that says that small group is better than large group or the other way around. Okay, it has its own reason. So in terms of size and dynamics as the group property, we need to understand social loafing. Okay, social loafing happens when it comes to the size of the group. Okay, so what is social loafing? It is the propensity for people to put up less effort when working in groups rather than working alone. So in other words, social loafing is that where people put in less effort when they work in a group rather than they work individually. So maksudnya group members ni, some of them are macam acuh tak acuh in doing their job. So they don't put in high effort, high responsibility in completing the task because of they rely on other members to complete the task. So what are the reasons for social loafing? First is because of diffusion of responsibility. Diffusion here means spread of responsibility. So spread or diffusion of responsibility here means a person is less driven to work to their fullest ability when they do not feel personally responsible for completing the assignment. So the group members, some of the group members who are displaying social loafing, why do they do that? Is because of they don't feel that they are responsible in completing the task. So that is one reason which we call as diffusion of responsibility. Another cause of social loafing, or meaning that the group members do not input in high effort in the group rather than when they work individually, is because of coordination. So what we can say that because of lack coordination, then social loafing happens. So what lack coordination means is that the group members do not have clear rules on what they have to do. So that is because of lack coordination. Manager ni ataupun group leader ni tidak menggariskan apakah tugas yang sepatutnya dilakukan oleh setiap ahli kumpulan, or each and every group member. There is no clear rules given to them on what they have to do or what should be their contribution to the group. So that happens because of managers lack coordination on the group members. So how to prevent social loafing? So these are the ways that the group members can do, or the group leader can do, in order to prevent social loafing, to avoid the group members to put in less effort when working in group. First is to set group goal. Make sure that the group has its own goal so that everybody has ataupun feel they are responsible in achieving the goal. So when the group has a specific goal to achieve, then everybody knows in the group that they have to work to achieve the same goal. So they will put in high effort. Okay, increase the group inter-competition. Increase the inter-group competition, meaning that try to create competition among groups. So in an organization, there is not only one group, there are so many groups. So try to create competitions, pertandingan di antara group-group yang ada dalam organization. So by doing that, group will work harder to win the competition. So they will work together and with the aim of winning the competition. So they will work as a group lah, not individually, and they will put in high effort. Another way is to engage in peer evaluation. Peer evaluation ni adalah penilaian rakan sekerja ataupun penilaian ahli kumpulan. Try to make each and every group member to evaluate other group members. So by doing that, then each and every member will try to put in high effort because of they want to get high evaluation from other member. Next way is select members who have high motivation and prefer to work. So in order to choose a good group members, of the best group members, choose the one who have high motivation and the one who are hardworking and they really love to work. So by choosing the right group member, then there will be no group members who put in less effort in working in a group. And finally, give reward on each member's unique contribution. So reward the contribution of each member. So what each member will do is that they will put in a lot of effort to work in a group so that they can get the reward also for their unique contribution. So these are the ways to reduce ataupun to avoid social loafing. And finally, the last group property is cohesiveness. Cohesiveness here means the degree of attraction and motivation among group members to stick together. So cohesiveness is keserasian ataupun keserasian lah, how do group members feel attracted to one another. Okay, keserasian, to be together in one group. So how to increase group cohesiveness? Cohesiveness means closeness, keeratan, keserasian, each group member rapat with one another. So how to make group members, each and every group members, become closer to one another, or we call it as cohesive. First is by making the group smaller. Jadikan group tu group yang kecil. Instead of having 20, 30 or 50 members in one group, try to create a group that has 5 to 6 members or 10 members maximum. So that each and every member knows each other very well and they will be very cohesive to one another or very close to one another. Encourage agreement with group goal, meaning that try to make sure that each and every group member agrees to the group goal, meaning that agree to what to be achieved in the group. So when each and every group member agrees on the group goal, they will work together to achieve the goal that they have agreed. So let's say group number 1 agrees to achieve a goal of 1 million ringgit profit. So each and every group members agree on this goal, 1 million ringgit profit. So then all the group members will work hard and they will work together to achieve that 1 million ringgit profit. So they will be very cohesive and very close. Increase the time members spend together. So lebihkan masa bersama, spend more time together. Increase the group status and the perceived difficulty in attaining membership. So increase group status. Jadikan group tu sebagai group yang berstatus tinggi. try to make your group as a group that with high status, and it is I try to make your group a group that is quite difficult to enter. So when your group has high status and very difficult to enter or to become a member, then once a person gets to be or to join that group, that person will try to remain in the group. So that person will try to be close to another member in order to remain in the group. Stimulate competition with other group. This is what we explained in the last slide. Okay, create competition with other groups so group members will work together. So they will be very cohesive. Give reward to the group rather than individual member. Bagi ganjaran kepada keseluruhan group member for their achievement rather than to reward an individual. And lastly is physically isolate. Isolate means asingkan. Okay, try to locate ataupun to make your group to be away from other groups in the organization. Meaning that let's say your group you place your group at a location away other than other groups. So if anything bad happened to your group, you don't have other people to ask for help, but only your group members. So in that way, you'll be very close to your group members, which we call as cohesive. Okay, and the last part for this chapter is we go to group decision making techniques, which I believe you have learned this in MGT 162. There are 3 group decision making techniques available. Number 1 is brainstorming, second is nominal group technique, and the last one is Delphi technique. Okay, let's see what is meant by brainstorming. Okay, the first group decision making technique. Brainstorming is where a group of people come together to generate new ideas and solutions about a particular area of interest by removing blockers. It is a decision-making technique in which members are encouraged to generate as many ideas as possible without any restrictions. So this is the important one. So brainstorming is one technique in making group decision whereby the group members sit together and the main aim is to generate as many ideas as possible. So this is the aim of brainstorming. Generate as many ideas as possible without any restriction. Without any restriction here meaning that there is no limit or conditions to the ideas. Tak ada syarat pada idea yang nak diberikan because the aim is to generate many ideas. So members are allowed to express wild and ridiculous ideas. So ridiculous, it is like crazy ideas. So any type of ideas or any kind of ideas are allowed to be expressed and given by the group members. Sebab matlamat utama brainstorming adalah untuk menjana sebanyak idea yang mungkin. Okay. However, there are some rules to be followed by the group members in applying brainstorming technique. The first rule is the aim is to go for large quantities of ideas. So, matlamat utama dia, syarat utama untuk nak apply brainstorming is that mestilah dapat menghasilkan menjana idea yang banyak. Second rule is to go for large quantity of ideas. Criticism of ideas is not allowed. So, each and every idea given by the group member, nobody is allowed to criticize. Siapa pun tak dibenarkan kritik idea yang diberi oleh ahli grup ataupun kumpulan yang lain. The third rule is build on each other's ideas. So build on each other's ideas here means that top up. Okay, top up here means let's say member number 1 give this idea, idea A. Then member B give another idea by using idea from member number 1. But top up meaning that improvise. Apa improvise maksudnya? Cantikkan lagi, baiki lagi. Okay, so that is build on each other's ideas. And the rule number 4 is encourage wild and exaggerated ideas. So this is like this one. So wild ni idea yang kalau maksud wild ni adalah liar lah. Okay, it means here any kind of idea is allowed to be given. Okay, you nak bagi idea yang tak logik, yes, it is still allowed in brainstorming. So that is called as wild and exaggerated ideas. And one at a time, meaning that each member must be given a chance to give an idea. Okay. So, satu idea pada satu masa. And until all ideas are exhausted. Maksudnya sampai dah tak ada orang dapat bagi idea dah. So, kutiplah sebanyak mana idea yang boleh diberi. So, that is brainstorming. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of brainstorming? So, you can refer to the book which explains the advantages and disadvantages of brainstorming. Okay, discovering new perspective, defining problems, equal participation, high variety of ideas generated, as well as these disadvantages. Okay, now we go to the next group decision making technique, which is nominal group technique, or we call it as NGT. So NGT is a bit unique compared to brainstorming. It is a technique where the individual participants get together in person to organize and independently pool their opinions. Independently. Independent here means secara how to say? Dengan sendiri dia. Not depending on another people. Incorporate both individual and group creativity. So nominal group technique is emphasizing on the creativity of the individual member as well as the group creativity. Members operate independently, meaning that the group members, even though they sit together in a group, but they work independently. Okay, independently meaning that they don't work together. They work on their own. And they generate ideas for problem solving on their own, silently. So the group members in nominal group technique, they sit together. If they are required to give ideas on how to solve a problem, what they will do is that they think on their own individually, separately, and independently, and they write down their ideas on a piece of paper. So that's why it is called as silently. So compared to brainstorming, where group members throw out ideas verbally. Brainstorming ni member akan keluarkan ideas secara verbal, bercakap. But nominal group technique, the members give ideas by writing on a piece of paper, and it does not involve verbal communication. So they are asked to write their ideas anonymously. Anonymously here means without writing their name, not disclosing their identity, and without interacting with other members to avoid strong personality domination. So nominal group technique is where group members do not interact with one another, and they work on their own individually, independently, and they just write down their ideas. So these are the steps involved in applying nominal group technique. First step is where individual writing ideas without group interaction. So individual here means the group members. Okay, they just write down. Okay, if let's say the group leader of this nominal group technique give them a problem to be solved. So the group leader says, okay, please give me or write down your ideas on how to solve this problem. So the individual or the group member here will start writing down their ideas, and they don't talk to another members. So they just write down on a piece of paper. Then round robin presenting of ideas without discussion. So what do they have to do next is each and every member will present their ideas. So member A, let's say, he has two ideas. So what he will do is he present his ideas. Okay, my idea number one is this. My idea number two is this. And no discussion is allowed. So nobody is allowed to say anything. Then step number 3 is group discussion of each idea, narrowing list. Discussion limited to clarification and idea evaluation, no criticism. So once all the members have presented their ideas, then each of the idea will be discussed. Barulah idea ni akan di-discuss, dibincangkan. But the discussion does not involve any criticism. So perbincangan tu tidak akan membenarkan criticism of ideas. So perbincangan dia tentang apa? Perbincangan hanya untuk mendapatkan penjelasan. What is the meaning of this idea? Clarification only. And finally, step number 4. Ranking and voting of alternatives silently. So the group leader, there will be a group leader, will conduct the voting. Okay, let's say the group leader lists the ideas from the 10 members, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 20 ideas. Okay, who vote for idea number 1? So dia akan buat ranking. Voting and ranking. And it is also done silently. Then finally, the group leader ni, he is the one who makes a decision based on the ranking and voting. So what are the benefits and drawbacks of the nominal group technique? So these are the advantages and also the disadvantages of nominal group technique. Okay, so you can read this and also the explanation in the book. And the last group decision making technique, we call it as Delphi technique, and this is even more unique technique. It is a structured decision-making method that originated as a systematic, interactive forecasting method that relies on a panel of experts. So the one that I bold here, it is, or they are the keywords for each and every technique of the group decision-making. So Delphi technique is using a panel of experts. Experts ni adalah pakar. Okay, it means that the group members of Delphi technique, they are the experts in certain field. Mereka adalah orang-orang pakar dalam satu-satu bidang. Seeks the opinions of experts who are physically separated and unknown to one another. Okay, Delphi technique is also a group decision-making technique that is trying to solve problems. So, who are the group members? The group members are the experts. And the experts here are required to give ideas. Okay. And where are the experts? Expert ni berada di mana? Are they located at one place? They are located everywhere in the world. Meaning that they are not located at one place. So these experts are not in a meeting room. Okay. And each member here, they do not know each other. Setiap expert ni yang untuk diambil sebagai group member untuk solve the problem, they do not know each other. And they don't see each other face to face. So there is no face-to-face meeting of the group members. So tak ada tempat meeting. They are everywhere. So the group decision-making technique here or Delphi technique here is normally conducted online. Okay. Member nombor 1 dengan member nombor 2 tak kenal pun each other. The experts' ideas or suggestions are compiled in a form of questionnaire responses. So there is a group leader or group facilitator who will conduct the Delphi technique. This group leader will prepare questionnaires. Okay, questionnaires. Questionnaires ni, it is like a survey. So it consists of so many questions on how to solve the problem. So these questionnaires will be emailed or sent to these experts everywhere. Okay. Ada expert yang ada dekat Ghana, ada dekat Bangladesh, ada dekat India, ada dekat America, New Zealand, Australia and so many other places in the world. So these questionnaires will be sent by this leader for these experts everywhere in the world to answer. Okay, so that is the way ideas are gathered. So the person leading the Delphi method is referred to as the facilitator or the leader. So how to make decision? This leader will make a decision on how to solve this problem by analysing the responses on the questionnaires returned by the expert tadi. So bila dah questionnaire ni dihantar melalui email ke WhatsApp or using any technology to these experts everywhere in the world, these experts will provide their answers and responses on the questionnaire and they will send back to the leader. So the leader will analyse the questionnaires and try to make decisions based on the responses given on the questionnaires. So these are the steps involved in Delphi technique. First is to select a panel of experts who are the group members. And the leader will prepare a questionnaire of open-ended question. Open-ended here means soalan macam essay lah. There is no true, false and objective. Okay, no choices to the answers. So experts or the group members here just write down their answers in their own unique way. Then the questionnaires will be sent out to the panel expert. That is round number 1. Then number 4 here. Okay. Oh, salah nak panah So it should be over here first. Okay. Then from here it goes over here. Okay, nak panah salah Then it goes over here. So there is no ni kat sini. Then lastly is over here. So ini tak ada. Ini tak ada. and ini tak ada. So number 4, analyze the responses and provide feedback again. So the leader will analyze the responses. If the leader is not satisfied with the ideas or suggestions by the expert, then the leader will provide feedback to the experts and prepare another set of questionnaires. So it involves round 2. Then wait for the responses from the expert and send back to the experts to provide their answers. Until the decision can be reached, then the Delphi technique stops. Habis dekat situ. So Delphi technique here involves a lot of time because of it involves so many rounds of collecting information. And these are the advantages and disadvantages of Delphi technique. Okay, you can read from the textbook. Okay, so with that, that's the end of chapter 7, foundations of group behavior. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.